Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. Tonight, we're diving into a rumor that's got the Motor City world buzzing. Could the Detroit Lions really take a flyer on cornerback C.J. Henderson, the athletic phenom once drafted 9th overall by the Jaguars and later dealt to Carolina? Could Henderson, labeled by many as a draft bust, find new life in Detroit's revamped secondary? Let's unpack the whispers, explore the tantalizing possibilities, and consider what this move might mean for a Lions defense already brimming with talent and potential. First, let's set the stage. The Lions head into next season boasting one of the league's deepest rosters, particularly in the defensive backfield. They added DJ Reed in free agency to help replace Carlton Davis, and they've got exciting young talents like Terrion Arnold, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and Amick Robertson jostling for starting roles. Depth is strong, but in the NFL, more quality is rarely a bad thing. That's why the notion of adding C.J. Henderson, despite his uneven pro track record, has captured the imagination of fans who crave championship pedigree and upside. Henderson's tale is well documented, a Florida alum with jaw-dropping athleticism. He clocked a 4.39-second 40-yard dash at the 2020 Combine, and a player who terrorized college receivers with 22 passes defended and 6 pick-sixes. Yet in the pros, a series of injuries, from shoulder to groin to head to knee, limited him to just 10 games in Jacksonville before Carolina moved on. His PFF grades have lingered below 60. Critics cite his inconsistency, and the term draft bust has unfortunately stuck. But what if Detroit's coaching staff, led by defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn and overseen by Dan Campbell's culture-first approach, could unlock Henderson's true potential? Imagine Henderson learning refined technique in press coverage drills, honing his footwork alongside Terrion Arnold in film sessions, and benefiting from a defensive scheme that emphasizes matchup flexibility and rotation to keep bodies fresh. Could the Lions' environment, one built on trust, accountability, and Dan Campbell's knack for player development, be just the catalyst Henderson needs to recapture the promise that made him a top 10 pick? Let's consider the impact on roster construction. A one-year, low-cost deal for Henderson would be nearly risk-free for Detroit. If he rediscovers his explosiveness and pairs it with newfound discipline, the Lions would suddenly boast a corner with rare speed who can both track deep threats and come up in run support. That complements the skill sets of Reed's sticky man coverage and Joseph's ball-hawking instincts. Even if Henderson fails to produce, the contract's minimal investment and the Lions' existing depth cushion would absorb the setback without sinking the ship. Some insiders believe that Henderson's physical traits alone, his burst off the line, his elite length, his closing speed, are worth the gamble. In a division featuring Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields, plus the speedsters in Green Bay's receiving room, a defensive back with genuine homers in coverage ability could be a game-changer. Could this be the beginning of a transformation for Henderson, morphing him from a forgotten prospect into a late career breakout? Lions fans are wondering if this is the moment to strike, before other contenders circle the waiver wire and grab him for their own secondary needs. Other analysts caution that Henderson's track record of missed tackles and blown assignments is not just a product of poor coaching, but of inconsistent effort. Yet, with Dan Campbell's intense focus on effort and accountability, remember how he flipped the attitude of that 2019 team with relentless energy, there's reason to believe Henderson might respond positively to that environment. Could the carrot of playing for a playoff-caliber Lions defense reignite his competitive fire, helping him push through nagging injuries and mental barriers alike? Remember, the Lions have been unafraid to swing big in free agency and the draft. They bet on Jared Goff with a franchise record contract to elevate their offense. They trusted Aiden Hutchinson and Malik Willis with critical defensive roles. Why wouldn't they roll the dice on Henderson's upside? Sometimes roster building is about balance, pairing high-floor veterans with high-upside reclamation projects. In this scenario, Henderson fits squarely into the latter category, and the Lions coaches have a proven track record of turning reclamation projects into reliable contributors. As we look ahead to training camp, imagine Henderson showing up in Allen Park, ready to prove the doubters wrong. Picture him working alongside Kirby Joseph in one-on-one drills, learning to use his length more effectively in press coverage, and reading QB's eyes under the watchful tutelage of Glenn. If he flashes even glimpses of his college dominance, recovering, an underthrown pass for a pick, mirroring a burner off the line, we could witness a genuine Cinderella story unfold. But this is all speculation, right? We don't know yet whether Detroit will make the call, nor how Henderson's medicals will look. Yet the mere conversation signals something about this Lions franchise. They're not complacent. They're hungry, creative, and fearless in pursuit of roster upgrades. Could we be standing at the precipice of a major move that shoots the Lions, secondary from solid to spectacular? Or will this remain a tantalizing what-if, relegated to talk radio and social media conjecture? One thing is certain. The potential addition of C.J. Henderson raises more questions than it answers, and that deep well of uncertainty is precisely what keeps fans glued to their screens. As we anticipate the official transaction announcements, stay tuned for more analysis, insider insights, and breakdowns of how Henderson would fit into Dan Campbell's defensive vision. The rumor mill is just revving up, and we're here to guide you through every twist and turn. If you're as excited about this potential move as I am, hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and ring the bell now, because here comes the rest of our deep dive into C.J. Henderson's fit in Detroit. Let's imagine Henderson in a real game scenario, suiting up against the Packers in Week 1. The crowd is roaring at Ford Field as Jordan Love lines up under center. On the first snap, Love's go-to target, Romeo Doubs, streaks down the sideline. Henderson, with his trademark explosive closing speed, mirrors Doubs step for step, matching the receiver's pivot and cutting off the slant route to force an incompletion. That play alone sends a message. This is not the same old struggling, "Oh, rookie bust." This is a cornerback determined to rewrite his narrative, one fueled by Dan Campbell's demand for relentless effort. So what could prompt the official announcement? Keep an eye on the league calendar. When training camp opens and the depth chart emerges, rumors often solidify. Watch for Henderson's medical visit schedule and any sighting at head coach Dan Campbell's open OTA sessions. Insider whispers suggest the meeting between Henderson's agent and GM Brad Holmes has already taken place, one where the Lions laid out their vision for a championship defense that needs a final explosive piece. As a lifelong Lions fan, I believe this is the type of bold, calculated risk that separates contenders from pretenders. We've seen teams hoard veterans and still falter. We've seen clubs cling to labels and miss out on dynamic talent. But the Lions, under Dan Campbell's fierce leadership, backed by Holmes's savvy roster building, this could be the defining move that propels us not just into playoff contention, but into real Super Bowl conversations. So, Lions News, fan reporters, I want to hear from you. Do you think C.J. Henderson can truly reclaim his status as an elite corner in Detroit? Could this gamble pay dividends down the stretch, or is the injury history too big a hurdle? Drop your thoughts below. I can't wait to read your takes. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update on Detroit's hottest rumors and roster moves. Until next time, keep roaring and go Lions.